Good morning, beloved mighty companions. I'm actually not sure where everyone is, so I assume it's morning there. It's always morning, good morning in the spirit's world. In infinite love celebrating.
We're on 187. I think
It'll come. So this is just an opportunity to celebrate light, all that's given by the Father, which is light. Infinite light. Yesterday, Jesus said, formlessness itself. And Muji says, it's a re-acclimation to formlessness. A re-acclimation to objectless being. And forgiveness is merely seeing that we are formless, infinite being, and that nothing actually happened. And to see the desire for something, to experience something as happening. The wanting. I was having a little talk again with Jesus this morning. It's so helpful. Or he was giving me the that wanting energy. It's like we are infinite being, and we can see that here. Underneath that, it's not a consistent experience because it's the I want. The I, instead of the what is, it's the I want and the I don't want, which are the same. I wanting and I not wanting. It's an I that's pretending to be separate, that's wanting more, yet it's the desire to experience less than all that is. That's a conundrum. We can ask the light to tell us in our heart so we know. Is the I want the generation of the world beyond infinite, unchanging love and the light of divine nature? What do we see? What do we experience as divine beings? Does it want something? Does it go around looking for objects to play with? Does it want a new car? Does it want to manifest another something in the world? Manifest another object? Can we find that as in truth of divinity and honesty of God? So it's that wanting, the itch for other, the itch for wanting more, yet will experience less, seeming to want more than everything. Does divine light know more than everything what is? Thus, the desired experience to fractionate consciousness, have a fractionated experience of all that is, rather than experience its entirety, the grandeur, infinite happiness. It's a rather than, anything but. Anything but infinite, unchanging light and perfect happiness. The buts, the if-thens. So we gather every day. Here's lesson 187. Thank you, Jesus, for showing me that these are thoughts of the Father. My only true thoughts given by the Father. As I have confused my thoughts for his thoughts, the thought of me as whole and complete as I am. And so the means provided, the call for love and the answer. I bless the world because I bless myself. Honoring the self, the big S, all that is. This is merely off the mark, missing the mark of honoring the self, sin. Decision to miss the mark and pretend like you could miss something as vast as light. that's always here. If we shot a target off today and we took a bow and arrow and we shot it, could we miss light? Is it possible to anyway shoot an arrow and not have the arrow fall as in the light of being? God is in everything I see. I bless the world because I bless myself. Jesus, will you show me? Oh, he's given the download is, if you cannot bless your brother, you cannot bless yourself. Is there any brother I would hold the blessing from? I'm willing to see it. And see that the brother blesses me. I bless myself is also to accept every blessing from a brother. As the symbol of God, a symbol of God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. No one can give unless he has. In fact, giving is proof of having. We have made this point before. Having is being. Having is honoring what is here. That's having. See that the light is giving is, well, we'll ask the question in the light of divine being, in honesty of God, is the light giving and receiving at once? Is on such an idea that giving is an object. I will give you all my money. I will give you a present at Christmas. I will give you, like, there's no error in that as long as the one who is miracle minded recognizes the recognition in miracle mindedness is that there's no confusion between an object and divine nature. There's no confusion that giving, it may arise, it may actually be a prompt from spirit as it's the movement of divinity. So the spirit's merely celebrating divinity and showing us the celebration of a divine expression. So it may be given that way through the Holy Spirit. To give a gift or seemingly an object as an expression of divine love. When it's a giving and taking, it's a give to get that subtle proof of love, or we lose the blessing that we are. It will seem to be gone. What seems to make it hard to credit is not this. No one can doubt that you must first possess what you would give. It is the second phase on which the world and true perception differ. Having had and given, then, the world assets that you have lost asserts that you have lost what you possessed. To lose a possessions, it's a really good one to look at. Is there any desire to own a possession and have that experience of loss when it's given away? The feeling, the desire for the feeling to possess something, willing to see through that something can be possessed. That's the desire for objective experience, the possession. It's a wanting. That's why Jesus said, give up all your possessions and follow me. That usually strikes fear in the heart of the ego, that thought. Yet it may not be given that way. They start falling away too. It's really about following Jesus for what's most helpful. Muji calls it being kissed from inside. When you're kissed from inside, like none of that matters. That infinite love is so valued. The truth maintains that giving will increase what you possess. The truth maintains that giving will increase what you possess. Giving all to all. That's why he calls it giving all to all. Complete availability to all that is, rather than finding unceasing ways to deny all that is. It's giving like the Father. The Father gives only blessings in the divine light. Does the divine light give only blessings? Infinite, infinite blessings. It's like it's this function. It's the infinite light, no anything other than giving. Ising is giving. What is just giving. It's just blessing it blesses creation as it is, not the creation of a world, although it blesses that too. Just honors all that's given by the Father. How is this possible? For it is sure that if you give a finite thing away, your bodies will not perceive it yours. Oh, that's a good one to look at. Perception with the eyes. You can see the concept of possession. This is such a good one to look at today. Jesus, is there any possession concept left below my level of awareness? Something actually can be possessed. Possession is a desire to deny divinity. It's a wanting. Ownership. It's a divine of light being. Look around at what it owns and gets happiness from what it owns. God, that's such a concept, such an idea that the ownership of some object brings happiness. See the trick in that? That's a trick. That's the ego's threat. I'll be left with nothing. Then we build the empire around us for comfort and safety of objects. We manifest them first, then pretend they're real and collect them as though they can be owned, as though an infinite being would own anything. Yet we have learned that things but represents the thoughts that make them. In the divine light of being, do things represent the thoughts that make them in our direct experience? That's what possession is meant to deny. The concept of possessing something is the very thing that is made by the ego to deny, first, that it does not exist in the light of infinity, and that it's made by thoughts. It's a miscreation. It's a thought creation. A picture paints 1,000 words. 1,000 words have congealed into a picture and a concept. And you do not lack for proof that when you give ideas away, you strengthen them in your own mind. Perhaps the form in which the thought seems to appear is changing in giving. Yet it must return to him who gives. Nor can the form it takes be less acceptable. It must be more. Ideas must first belong to you before you give them. If you are to save the world, you must first accept salvation for yourself. It's giving away the recognition of who you are by being what you are. That's checking with the divine light. Being is giving because it is. Doesn't actually know what taking is. It's like, what's that? Can't find that. It's completely available, just like pours out effortlessly. No effort. Does being have an effort in giving? Does it know what effortful giving is? Just by its very function, its nature, it's giving. But you will not believe that this is done until you see the miracles it brings to everyone you look upon. Everyone you look upon. Herein is the idea of giving clarified and given meaning. Now you can perceive that by your giving is your store increased, giving all to all. Yeah, ego, that's a tense up. What does that mean to give? What are you talking about? The little voice. Yet seeing the divine light, it's helpful. It's just helpful. It's for me to see. No one. The giving just pours out infinitely. It's like giving all to all and serving all. We talked about that here. You know, what does it really mean to live in a community? Or that even has to be undone, that you're living in a community, that anything's different from anything else. It's just a helpful means to learn the true function is being. To look directly at all the denials of being and see that being is always giving. It's always celebrating itself. It doesn't really recognize anything else. What you thought you did not have is thereby proven yours. Protect all things you value by the act of giving them away, and you are sure that you will never lose them. Money comes to mind. Giving love away, it seems like it would be lost. If I give too much love, I got to hold back on that. I'll be taken advantage of if I give too much love. Does the light say that? I'll be hurt if I get too much love. And can we hear those thoughts in the light? Yet those are the thoughts that underlie lack and limitation. That we want to see those if those exist below our level of awareness, because otherwise we're operating like a puppet to the ego with those thoughts for level of awareness. What you thought you did not have is thereby proven yours. Oh, you can see just blessing and blessing and blessing so that we see it's ours. It's beautiful. Yet value not its form, for this will change and grow unrecognizable in time, however much you try to keep it safe. To withhold the gift is to withhold it from ourselves, to cease to give blessings to ourselves, the self, the one, the what is, blessing and blessing, blessing itself. No form endures. In the light of divine being, can we find any form that endures? It is the thought behind the form of things that lives unchangeable. Give gladly. You can only gain thereby. And listen to Jesus carefully in your giving. He says this in A Course of in the New Covenant. He says, many sadhus, and I could see that play in consciousness here too. You know, being a nun in an ancient monastery and giving away all the possessions. And the ego can use that as a form. It's not truly given. It's a form of winning God. I'm going to win God because I've given. And it's actually pride. Jesus says their pride can come in from having nothing, no possessions. There's actually can be a form of pride in that. Like you can give it all away. There's hundreds of sadhus living on the streets of India. I can't decide for them. Jesus is not judging any of that. He's just saying, see the purpose in everything and follow my command. I'll tell you what's most helpful. It may be that he comes and says, okay, give away everything you own and follow me. To see that you have everything. It's like, no, I want to see that I'm everything first, and then I'll give everything away. He understands that. Let's see the power and divinity. Because as he says in that chapter, we as infinite beings, the light, let's ask the light, is the light manifesting everything? Not in reality. To the dream, the light comes before the dream. Therefore, the dream arises in the light, which means every manifest object is an expression of divinity. Because there isn't anything other than the light. Therefore, it must be of the light. But even though it's the light pretending not to be what it is, it still comes out of light. Which means that we can infinitely create in as many objects as we want. That's the kind of the play of the secret. The secret is that play in consciousness. And you can look at life and see that was part of the play here, play in consciousness. I'm going to manifest a lot and have a big old house, blah, blah, you know. I want to own a company. You start to see that ownership is death, is a concept for killing the light. The light trying to pretend that it's dead and forget what it is. To want nothing is to have everything, like nothing. Muji says, nothing, nothing, nothing. I am supremely happy because I want nothing. I have everything. Wanting something is a denial of everything. Thoughts extend as they are shared, for they cannot be lost. There's no giver and receiver in the sense the world conceives of them. There is a giver who retains and another who would give as well. And both must gain in this exchange, for each will have the thought in form most helpful to him. The thought in form most helpful. So even the thoughts, even the expressions, most helpful for anyone willing to see. So there's no, you know, Jesus isn't saying, okay, you have to live in a hovel. Or, you know, these are all ideas and consciousness. I'm going to go live in a cave. That may be given. It's really the trust in ourselves and to follow, to see what it looks like. There's a giver who retains and another who would give as well. And both must gain in this exchange, for each will have the thought in form most helpful to him. Ultimate giving is just expression of divine nature, the celebration. We've been laughing about turn those smiles upside down. The Jesus, what?
Turn your frown upside down.
Turn those frowns. Oh, yeah, it's not the smiles. Hold the frowns upside down. Ego turns the smiles upside down. Turn those frowns upside down. What he seems to lose is always something he will value less than what surely will surely be returned him. And that you start to see the experience, you know, there is such an idea of sacrifice, yet sacrifice is a desired experience. Time that is like greatest offense. It's not more powerful than the Holy Spirit. We start to see we're defending against ourselves when the Spirit says, okay, here's your assignment. And then, oh no, what's going to happen? I'm going to lose something. Things are going to be terrible. And really part of the mind, yeah, Jesus said, the mind training is to ignore all that and go with your guidance. Go with your guidance. Get on that boat, even though there's no life preserver on it. What do you mean? You can hear all the complaints. But there's no life preserver. It's not Coast Guard approved, all those thoughts. Is it an expression of divinity is the only question. And then say yes, although we don't see that at first. It takes a while. It takes a while. We've forgotten what divine expression is. We've decided to forget. However that plays in consciousness. Never forget you give but to yourself. This is glory. That give and take in the world is death, boy. Giving all to all means giving it all to yourself. Ego's going, I'm not giving that away. I'm going to lose something. Thought of sacrifice. Who understands what giving means must laugh at the idea of sacrifice. That's a good one to see. Jesus, will you show me what true giving is in the light of divine being? I'm willing to see it. True giving is perfect, infinite happiness. Perfect, infinite joy is true giving. Nor can he fail to recognize the many forms which sacrifice may take. He laughs as well at pain and loss, at sickness and at grief, at poverty, starvation, and at death. Laughs. And the light of divine being is it's joy to laugh at death. So different from the ways of the world, where sympathy is extended. He recognized sacrifice remains the one idea that stands behind them all, and in his gentle laughter are they healed. Laughing at the idea of sacrifice. To laugh at that the little thoughts that arose, the innocence actually of saying it's such a habit, right? Looking at that little boat in Bali. I don't think I want to get on that. Oh, no, Jesus, I don't want to. Oh. Yet if we don't step on board, you'll never see how powerful we are as infinite beings. And you can see each of the little steps. I remember before I went scuba diving, I talked in Bali, which was another step, the stepping stones. And so I'm driving around the island. I was brought to this place where another boat, it seemed to be a lot about boats, like getting on a boat without a life preserver. That was the basic theme that just kept repeating. Obviously, there were some doubt thoughts in the mind about. And I came to this guy brought me to this place. He's kind of touring the island, and we stop, and he says, yeah, it's like now, and I loved fish or thought I did, but I can see there's a lot of fear under diving and scuba diving that I didn't really realize, but I really was attracted to fish, and you could see how the spirit uses attraction. Because I mean, this place is like loaded with coral reefs. Okay, so there's the attraction of looking out there. That boat, boy, they're kind of snorkeling kind of far out there. Yeah, those doubt thoughts about it. Not sure. And of course, they're both going, oh, sure, go on out there. And get in the boat and again, try, really following the spirit. And it was so spectacular, the just number of fish, like thousands and billions of fish, just what a symbol of love, that all is the abundance. There's just a symbol in the mind of abundance. And to trust your brother too, because I could see there was a trust thing, not really, who's this guy going to take me out on a boat? It's like 300 yards. And I can swim, the I was a swimmer in the form. But still, and just to really look directly at obviously there were things to look at around, looking directly at what we've miscreated as fear, and there's miscreation around fear there. And it was spectacular. So once again, Jesus proving happily that I was wrong. And to trust and to step off into the boat and keep stepping off. And Jesus says that in a new covenant, if you're not willing to step beyond the idea you have of yourself, you cannot transcend personal identity. It's impossible because the ego is a comfort zone. It's an idea that there is a comfort zone. And in the light of divine being, does the light of divine being have a comfort zone? Just doesn't know what that is. Infinite being doesn't. I feel like he's preparing us for something. Here we get the Jesus stretch. Because this is going. You start getting these, okay. All right, yes to Jesus. Give me the next one. But then you see so many miracles. It's like this place so off the rails. Like I thought, oh, I'm never going to have a house or any of that stuff to deal with ever again. Again, he shows me I'm wrong. And, you know, I think I told the story. I wanted to go live off in the woods somewhere and have a little tiny house and live on my brother's property, you know. And so we come to this place, and like I hardly looked at the mechanical systems. I just said, all right, Jesus, you know, look at we're going to, you know, if you're saying there's going to be community out here and a service to God, okay, we're going to, you know, and we're just so, it's so unspeakable actually, because, and I've mentioned before, so this place has a solar heating for the pool. It's got 2 wells. It's got a thermal well. There must be 20 or 30 pumps to pump water. I mean, you have to fill the cisterns up to get water. You know, there are all these kinds of things and mechanicals, and they definitely do it different, and the electrical systems and the plumbing. It's all the things the eye would have run in terror from, I'll tell you. And we're like every day, it's like unbelievable, because the Spirit then provided not only this, we're in Spanish, and Jesus is saying your function is not to learn Spanish. And the miracles from this are so off the rails. Like there's this gentleman here that's living on the property, who's friend of the other owner. He lives here. You just mentioned something, and they're out there fixing it. It's just taking care of all the pumps. And I mean, it may be learning at some point, but I mean, and having someone to go with all the way, take the bus for 40 minutes to go out to the cable company and then have an interpreter go with you. Follow Jesus. It's really amazing. If we don't step off, we cannot see the miracles. We don't say no to the idea and the concepts about ourselves, because we start to see that saying no, what we were talking about that yesterday, what are we really saying yes and no to? We think it's yes and no to something Jesus is telling us, or that we're saying no to the idea that we had of ourselves, that we have to accept our divine power to say no to that. Illusion recognized must disappear. Accept not suffering, and you remove the thought of suffering. Don't accept it. I could see that. It was so helpful. Don't accept it. Accept only what Jesus says. Buy that place. And in buying that, you know, walking down the street, it was like, I knew what I was saying yes to. I'm saying yes to divine expression, rather than the idea of who I thought I was. Your blessing lies on everyone who suffers, when you choose to see all suffering as what it is. Nothing. Non-existent. A denial of happiness. An opportunity to see within where I have denied myself infinite love. The thought of sacrifice gives rise to all forms that suffering appears to take. The thought of sacrifice, the desired experience of sacrifice, gives rise to all the form that suffering appears to take. And sacrifice is an idea so mad that sanity dismisses it at once. Sanity. Does the light of divine being obliterate sacrifice? Can sacrifice be found in the light of divine being? And that's why we have to say no to it. Because again, looking at this place, wait a minute, it's going to be a sacrifice. It's beautiful. It's a spectacular view. I mean, it really is a spectacular property, but all the other, you know, what sits and wherefores and problems and how am I going to do it and how is that going to happen? That's all the sacrifice thought. There's going to be sacrifice getting this. And then again, as we came here, and the two guys are Jesus and Jesus. Jesus and Jesus. It just puts me on my knees every day. Never complain. Always a smile. It's so extraordinary. It's like there are more monks than we're just always willing, always in service. It's stunning, really. Really stunning. And then the beings that come here that are so devoted, like, to remind me of identity. True identity is devotion and focus only on the light. Never believe that you can sacrifice. Jesus, if there's any desire below my level of awareness for a belief, an investment in sacrifice, I'm willing to see it. I'm willing to see that infinite love does not know what sacrifice is, ever. And to see that sacrifice is abjectly impossible. It is only arises out of the desire to experience it. There's no place for sacrifice in what has any value. If the thought occurs, its very presence proves that error has arisen and correction must be made. Your blessing will correct it. Blessing it. Blessing. Blessing sacrifice. Given first to you, it now is yours to give as well. So placing a blessing on any thought, any idea, because all thoughts are arising in totality. So it's not like you have a thought of sacrifice. It's laying a blessing upon that thought that arises. Given first to you, it now yours to give as well. No form of sacrifice and suffering can long endure before the face of one who is forgiven and has blessed himself. That's the blessing that we bring as divine light, bringing only the light, bearers of the light. Bearers of the light are beyond sacrifice. The lilies that your brother offers you are laid upon your altar, and the ones you offer him beside them. Who could fear to look upon such lovely holiness? The great illusion of fear of God diminishes to nothingness before the purity that you will look on here. The great illusion of the fear of God diminishes to nothingness before the purity that you will look on here. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, honesty. Is there any fear in infinite light at all? Anywhere to be found? And is the infinite light the same as God? It's what is. It's the totality. It's beyond the concept of God. Be not afraid to look. In the light of divine being, need we be fearful of looking at the denials? This is what Jesus has come to say in the new covenant. Fear not of looking with me, I'm with you. Be not afraid to look. The blessedness you will behold will take away all thought of form and leave instead the perfect gift forever there, forever to increase, forever yours, forever given away. Giving all to all. Now we are one in thought, for fear has gone. And here before the altar to one God, the Father, one Creator, and one thought, we would stand together as one Son of God. The one. See that we're all one here. In the light of divine being, as we look at each other, as the light, can we find another in truth as we look at each other in this infinite love, as infinite love? This is the looking with the new eyes beyond the form, to see with eyes beyond the form. Not separate from him who is our source, not distant from one brother who is part of our one self, whose innocence has joined us all as one. We stand in blessedness and give as we receive. To give as we receive is to give love to all, and to bless all is to bless ourselves wholly and completely as we are. We stand in blessedness and give as we receive. The name of God is on our lips, and we look within. We see the purity for heaven of heaven shine in our reflection of our Father's love. Now we are blessed, and now we bless the world. What we have looked upon, we would extend, for we would see it everywhere. Extension is to see God everywhere. We would behold it shining with the grace of God in everyone. We would not have it be withheld from anything we look upon. The desire to withhold it from ourselves. And ensure this holy sight is ours. We offer it to everything we see. For where we see it, it will be returned to us in the form of lilies we can lay upon our altar, making it home for innocence itself with a capital I. Absolute reality is innocence, who dwells in us and offers us his holiness as ours. And see that we offer only holiness to each other, really, in truth. That's our only desire, is offer holiness with each other. And to withhold that holiness, that thought of holiness from each other, is to withhold it from ourselves, the self. To tempt to hold ourselves apart from God, which in the light of divine being, we see this is impossible, to be separate from the light. Amen. Love you all. We're very grateful that you join us for these sessions. Thank you.